Today I'll show you how to crochet the half double crochet stitch, or HDC as it is abbreviated in pattern. Then we'll go over the 3 different ways patterns may have you start your rows using turning chains. This part can get confusing because every crocheter has their preferred method, and that's often what they'll teach. But patterns may specify a completely different way, so it's important to know all 3. Let's make the basic stitch first. To make a half double crochet, you'll yarn over, insert your hook into the stitch, yarn over, and pull up a loop. You should have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over again and pull through all 3 loops. That's 1 half double crochet. Now let's look at the 3 different ways to handle turning chains for the half double crochet. This is where it gets tricky because not every designer uses the same method. The first method is to chain 2, which is also called your turning chain, and it does count as a stitch. Let's start this from the very beginning so you can see exactly how it works. Say I want a row of 10 half double crochets. To get the desired number of stitches, you'll take that number plus 1. So 10 plus 1 is 11, because the first 2 chains would be a stitch, and then you would have 9 more chains that would also turn into stitches. So 9 plus 1 is 10. So I have made 11 chains here. So we will half double crochet in the 3rd chain from the hook, and this will actually be the 2nd stitch of the first row. For each one of these examples, I'm working through both loops of the chain. So yarn over and insert your hook into the 3rd chain from the hook. Yarn over and pull up a loop. You should now have 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3 loops. You've now made a half double crochet. So now we have 2 stitches in our first row, because the chain 2 counts as a stitch plus the half double crochet we just made. Continue crocheting half double crochets along the chain. Now that we've completed the first row, let's count our stitches. Remember that the 2 chains that we skipped will count as 1 stitch. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 stitches. To move on to the next row, you'll chain 2 to turn. But remember that chain 2 counts as your first stitch again. So you'll skip the very first stitch of the next row and start your first half double crochet in the 2nd stitch. You'll continue half double crocheting across the row. And when you get to the end of the row, you'll need to work a half double crochet in the top of that chain 2 from the row below to keep your stitch count correct, because remember, it counts as a stitch. Now I made the mistake of getting my chains too tight, so it was hard to go back into that top chain, and afterwards you can see that it doesn't look quite right. So just make sure you don't get your chains too tight in the beginning. Now, one thing to watch out for with this method is that it can leave small gaps along the edges, because the chain 2 doesn't look exactly like a regular half double crochet. So that's the major con to this method. But some patterns still use it. The second method has a chain 2 turning chain that does not count as a stitch. It just brings the yarn up to the correct height. Let's say I want a row of 10 half double crochets. Since the chain 2 doesn't count, I'll make a chain of 10 plus 2 more chains for turning, so I'll have a total of 12 chains. Just like before, I'm going to yarn over and insert my hook into the 3rd chain from the hook. That's where my very first half double crochet goes. The chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, so this will actually be stitch 1. Then I'll keep making half double crochets all the way across the row. When I'm finished, I'll have exactly 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 half double crochets because the turning chain doesn't count as one. At the end of the row, I'll chain 2 and turn. Since the chain 2 still doesn't count, I'll place my very first half double crochet into the stitch at the base of the chain and continue across. At the end of each row, I don't need to work into the top of the chain 2. It's just sitting at the side. The benefit of this method is that it makes counting stitches a lot simpler, since every half double crochet is a true stitch. The con though is that the edges can look a little uneven because that chain 2 doesn't blend in with the stitches. And finally, some crocheters prefer to just chain 1 instead of chaining 2. This chain 1 does not count as a stitch. It's just there to bring your yarn up to height. So let's say I want a row of 10 half double crochets. Since the chain 1 doesn't count, I'll make a chain of 10 plus 1 for turning. So I'll chain 11. Now I'll yarn over and insert my hook into the second chain from the hook. That's where my very first half double crochet goes. Then I'll keep making half double crochets all the way across. When I'm finished, I'll have exactly 10 half double crochets because the chain 1 didn't count. At the end of the row, I'll chain 1, turn, and place my very first half double crochet right into the stitch at the base of the chain. Then I'll continue across as usual. And since the chain doesn't count as a stitch, you won't work into the chain at the end of the row with this method either. The big advantage of this method is that it often gives you the cleanest, tightest edges with no gaps or bulky chains. The only con is that it can feel a little snug or tight at the edge for some crocheters, depending on your tension. But if you like neat edges, this is a great choice. So to recap, some patterns will have you chain 2 and count it as a stitch. Some chain 2 and don't count it, and others prefer chain 1 that doesn't count. Everyone has their favorite way, but always follow the method your pattern tells you to so your stitches line up correctly. Thanks for watching and happy crocheting!